Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video I'm going to be showing you how to make another Minecraft skin statue. This time it's going to be Captain America out of the Avengers, and the statue is based on the Captain America skin out of the Marvel Avengers skin pack that was released on the Xbox 360. Just giving you a bit of a twirl of it now. I did plan on making my own Avengers statues, but Minecraft beat me to it. What are you going to do? And I will warn you before I start this tutorial, this is going to be extremely tedious. Captain America's somewhat difficult to make, second only to Iron Man, so if you do want to make this guy, you need to prepare yourself mentally. With all that being said, I've been talking long enough, let's get to it. So if you want to make him, here's what you're going to need. You're going to need nether brick, black wool, dark blue, cyan, light blue, red wool, pink, and finally brown wool. We're going to need to swap out a few of those colours a little later on, but we'll just deal with that when it comes to it. He uses quite a variety of colours. So once you've got all of your colours and once you've figured out where you want to make him, I'm going to be making him right here. You're going to want to start out with a row of 8 nether brick in a row on the floor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And once you've done that, you have the base of your Captain America statue, and it's time for us to kick this up a gear, otherwise it's going to take about 50 hours to do this tutorial. So once you're at this point, you're going to want to, for the next row, do 2 red in the 2 middle spots, a single red on the ends of the row, and then pink wool everywhere else. And that is the first and last time you'll see pink wool, unfortunately. Almost a wasted time getting it out. So for the next row, you're going to want to do a single red wool on each end, a nether brick coming towards the centre from the red, and then red wool everywhere else. Then, for the next row, 2 red in the 2 middle spots, single red on each end, and nether brick everywhere in between. The next row is just a copy of the previous, so red on the ends, red in the middle, and nether brick everywhere else. Just copy the previous row. For the next row, we get to employ the blue. So for the next row, we will probably just do this from left to right, just looking at it. So going from left to right on top of the next row, you're going to want to do 1 dark blue, 1 cyan, 1 dark blue, 2 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 cyan, 1 dark blue. And you will want to have something that in total looks like this. I know it's looking a little weird. We're halfway up the legs. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, we can continue on our way up. So for the next row, you're going to want to do 2 cyan in the 2 center spots, a single cyan on each end, dark blue everywhere in between. For the next row, you're going to want to do 2 cyan in the center, a single dark blue either side of the cyan, and then cyan everywhere else on the row. Then, for the next row, you're just going to want to do 2 dark blue in the center of the row, and then cyan everywhere else. And then, for the next row, this seems to be a left to right job, so going from left to right, you're going to want to do this. 1 cyan, 1 light blue, 1 cyan, 2 dark blue, 1 cyan, 1 light blue, 1 cyan. Then, for the next row, you're going to just want to do 2 light blue coming in towards the center from the ends, like so, and then dark blue everywhere else. Then, for the next row, you're going to want to do 2 cyan in the center of the row, a single dark blue either side, and then brown wool everywhere else. And once you've done that, you should be left with something that should look a little bit like this, and it's still looking a little weird even though I know what the entire statue looks like, but it all pieces together once you do the torso. So that is what you want for the entire leg section. Pause that if necessary, and as a matter of fact, before we move on, we just need to grab a couple of colours. So here's what you want to do. Pink and light blue can go away for a while, the pink forever, and you're just going to want to grab dark grey, light grey, and white, and that will actually do us until we get up to the top of the head. So pink and light blue are gone, dark grey, light grey, white, they're with us now. Alright, so moving on up to the top of the legs, here's what you want to do for the first row of the torso. You want to do 2 brown in the centre of the row, a single black either side of the brown, and then brown everywhere else. Then, the next row just wants to be completely brown wool, lucky us. The next row is slightly trickier. You want to do 2 red in the centre of the row, a single light grey either side of the red, and then brown everywhere else. Then, for the next row, you want to do 2 red in the centre, a single red on the ends of the row, and then white everywhere else. The next row just wants to be a copy of the row that you've just done, so throw white where you have white, and red where you have red. Then, for the next row, trickier still, you're going to want to do this. You want to do 2 red in the centre, a single red on each end, light grey next to the reds on the end, and then white next to the centre red to give you something which should look a little bit like that. I should have done that row left to right instead of explaining it like that, but you guys can quite easily see what I've done anyway. So we're halfway up the torso at this point. This is why I'm giving you the little pan out of what you should have done. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, we can complete the torso. So, continuing on. Next row, on top of that, you're going to want to do 2 black coming in towards the centre from the ends of the row, and then dark blue everywhere else. Then, the next row after that, unfortunately this is going to have to be a left to right row, I hate doing these. You're going to want to do this. 1 dark grey, 1 cyan, 1 white, 2 cyan, 1 light grey, 1 cyan, and finally 1 dark grey. My colours could not be further spaced apart. That's unfortunate. So that's what you want to have for that row. Next row, not so tricky. You want to do this. On the left centre block of the row, you want to do a white. On the right centre block, you want to do a light grey. You want to do a single dark grey on each end, and then cyan everywhere else. Then, for the next row, unfortunately this is a little trickier, but you want to do this. You want to do, going from left to right, 2 cyan, 3 white, 1 light grey, 2 cyan. Then, for the next row, you just want to do 2 white in the centre of the row, cyan everywhere else, and there you have the row. Then, for the final row of the torso, you just want to do a single cyan on the ends of the row, and then dark blue everywhere else. And once you've done that, you should be left with something which should look a little bit like that. That's a nice looking star. So that is what you want for the entire torso. Pause that if necessary. Let me show you what it should look like once it's all pieced together. I told you that it'd look a little better once the torso's on top. You can see what the brown's supposed to be and such. It's pretty nice. So once you've reached this point, and pause this if necessary of course, we can move our way on to the arms. So the arms are in line with the first row of the torso, which is this row right here, the second row of brown coming up from the bottom of the statue. And all you want to do is extend out this row by 4 either side with your red wool. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the other side as well, 1, 2, 3, 4 to give you the first row of the arms, the bottom of the hands. I like to do both at the same time, however we're going to be working on this right side first. So here's how I like to do the arms. I like to just simply call out the colours for the row, and I like to work from outwards to inwards, so this way to that way coming towards the torso. So for the second row on top of our first row of the arms, this row of red, you're going to want to do 2 red wool, 2 nether brick. Next row, 3 red wool, 1 nether brick. Next row, an entire row of nether brick. Next row after that, an entire row of red. Next row after that, 3 white, 1 light grey. Next row after that is just a copy of the previous row, so just copy what you have. The next row after that, 3 white, 1 dark grey. Next row after that, an entire row of cyan wool. Next row after that, 2 cyan, 2 dark blue. Next row, an entire row of cyan wool. Next row, the final row, 2 cyan and 2 dark blue to give you something which should look a little bit like that. And I know that I may have done that a little fast, but here's why. You've only got those 4 blocks to focus on, and I would guess that the majority of you would quite simply be able to do it just looking at it right now. Just having a look at what I've done for the arm, I imagine a lot of you can just copy what I've done just by using your eyes. So pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, you can move on to the other arm, which is quite simply a mirror image of this arm. You manage this arm, you can do the other arm. So coming over to this side, same principle, outwards to in. Second row of the arm, you want to do 2 red, 2 nether brick. Next row, 3 red, 1 nether brick. Next row, an entire row of nether brick. Row after that, entire row of red. Row after that, 3 white, 1 light grey. Next row, just copy, 3 white, 1 light grey. Next row, 3 white, 1 dark grey. Next row, an entire row of cyan wool. Next row, 2 cyan, 2 dark blue. Next row, an entire row of cyan again. And the final row, 2 cyan, 2 dark blue. And I feel as though I may have done that maybe even a lot faster than the first arm, but as I said, you manage the first arm, you can do the second arm. And again, from this view, a lot of you will probably just be able to make it like that. So there you go, pause that if necessary, make sure that's what you have, and let me show you the whole front of the statue. It's a nice statue, very well designed. Very well designed. I can't say that I would have went into as much detail if I would have designed it myself. So that is what you want to have so far. That is the entire front of the statue, minus the head, of course. So pause that if necessary. Once you're at this point, we can move on to the back of the statue. So once you are at this point, you've done the legs, torso, both of the arms, it's time for you to come to the bottom of the statue. And you want to do this. This is always difficult for me to explain. You want to extend back from the sides of the feet with this little color combination. You want to do this essentially, easy enough to just a copy. You want to do this. 2 red, 1 nether brick, coming from each end of the feet back out of the statue. So 2 red, 1 nether brick. So you want to have something, this is behind the statue that we've just made. You want to have something which should look like that. And once you've done that, you're just going to want to connect those 2 nether brick together at the back like that. And what you've essentially done there is you have built the first row of the back of the statue, because we're going to be building the back of the statue exactly how we've just built the front of the statue. So for now, you're just going to want to focus on this back row of 8, this back row of nether brick. Ignore these 2 side blocks that we have on the left and right hand side, and as I said, just focus on these. So for the second row of the back, you're just going to want to have another row of nether brick. So top of your nether brick, throw some more nether brick. Then what you want to do for the next 3 rows, 3 solid rows of red wool. So just mark those out and fill them in, like so. For the 6th row, getting halfway up the legs, you just want another entire row of nether brick. So you're going to want to have something which should look a little bit like that. Since we're halfway up, I'm giving you a bit of a view. Pause that if necessary. The next row after that just wants to be an entire row of dark blue wool, like so. The next row after that, 2 dark blue in the center, cyan wool everywhere else. The next 2 rows just want to be copies of the row that we've just done, so dark blue in the center, cyan everywhere else. Fill that in how you like, just make sure you do 2 copies of that row right there. Next row, after that, you want to do 4 dark blue in the center of the row, so like so, leaving 2 either side, and you just want to finish up by throwing cyan in the empty spaces. For the 12th and final row of the back of the legs, we're going to be building this from left to right since it's a little trickier. So going from left to right, you want to do 1 brown, 1 black, 1 cyan, 2 dark blue or 1 cyan, 1 black, and finally 1 brown to give you something which should look a little bit like that, just showing you the entire back of the legs. So that is what you want to have. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, we can work our way up to the back. So for the first row of the back, here's what you want to have, and this may seem a little familiar to you. You want to do 2 brown in the center of the row, a single black either side of the brown, and then brown everywhere else. See where that's familiar, looking straight forward. Then the next row, which may also seem familiar, you just want to do an entire row of brown. And here is where things start to get a little tricky. Now we're going to be building the shield into the back. So here's what you want to do. You want to do a single brown on the ends of the next row, a single red coming towards the center from the brown, and then white wool everywhere else. Then for the next row, you're going to want to do a single red on the ends of the row, single white wool coming towards the center from the red, and then red everywhere else. Then for the next row, single white on the ends of the row, a red wool coming towards the center, and dark blue everywhere else. Then for the next row, we're going to be building this from left to right just for sanity's sake. You're going to want to do this. Going from left to right, one red, one dark blue, one white, two cyan, one light grey, one dark blue, and finally one red wool. Then for the next row, you're going to want to do this. On the left center block, you're going to want to do a white wool. On the right center block, a light grey, cyan either side of the two center blocks, single red on the ends of the row, and finally a dark blue in the two remaining spots. And I believe that we are, if not midway, slightly higher than midway up the back. So let me just show you, let me see if I can get a better view without the torso interfering. So that is what you want to have so far for the back. It's a little tricky because of the shield. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, we can finish up the back of the statue. And as a matter of fact, perfect time for it to get dark. We will be back with the rest of the back. Once the sun comes up again. Fantastic. We have daylight back again. Let's finish up the back. So for the next row of the back, going from left to right, you want to do this. One red, one dark blue, two white, two light grey, one dark blue, one red. Next row, two white in the two center spots of the row, cyan either side of the white, dark blue either side of the cyan, and finally red on the ends just to finish up the row. Then for the next row, you want to do a single white on the ends of the row, red right next to the white, and finally dark blue to finish up the row. Next row, red on the ends, white right next to the red, and finally red everywhere else. Then for the final row of the back, you want to do a single dark blue on the ends of the row, red coming in towards the center from the blue, and finally white wool everywhere in between to give you something which should look a little bit like that. And I know that the shield may be looking a little weird, however it might not seem so weird once we do the arms, as the shield protrudes onto the arms a little bit. It'll look a little better. So that is what you want to have for the back. Pause that if necessary. Let me show you the entire back of the statue so far. Alright, so that's what you want for the back of the statue so far. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, we can move on to the back of the arms. And the back of the arms, as you might imagine, are on the same position on the back as they are on the front. And they start off the same as well. You just want to, where you did on the front, just line it up. Do a row of 4 red wool coming out from the back on each side of the statue. Just line it up with the front like so. And we're going to be working on the left side first, and unfortunately the back of the arms are ever so slightly different to the front, so we've got to build them row by row. Wah, wah. So on the left side, working from outwards to inwards, just like you did on the front, you want to do this, and some of these rows will seem familiar. You want to do, for the second row, 2 red, 2 nether brick. Next row, 3 red, 1 nether brick. Next row, an entire row of nether brick. Right after that, an entire row of red. The next 3 rows after that, 3 solid rows of white wool, so 1, 2, and 3. Next row after that, 2 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 white. Next row after that, 2 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 red. Next row after that, 2 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 cyan, and for the final row, an entire row of cyan. And it wants to come out looking a little something like that. And can you see how the shield comes out onto the side of the arm? Well, once we finish with the statue, we're going to be doing something a little special with the shield. So that's what you want to have for the back of the arm. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, you can move on to the other arm. So again, outwards to inwards. Next row. For the second row of the second arm, you want to do 2 red, 2 nether brick. And again, this is just a mirror image. If you've done that arm, you can do this arm easy enough. Third row, 3 red, 1 nether brick. Fourth, an entire row of nether brick. Right after that, an entire row of red wool. Next 3 rows are entirely white wool. Then, starts getting a little trickier unfortunately. 2 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 white wool. Next row, 2 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 red. Next row, 2 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 cyan, and finally, entire row of cyan to give you something which should look a little bit like that. And it kind of looks weird, the back, without the shield. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be raising up the shield on the back of the statue, which will actually make the statue look so cool once we have finally finished the head and the sides. We're actually pretty close, to be honest with you. So that's what you want for the back of the arms. Again, sorry if that seemed a little fast, but you should be able to make it just from this view right here. It's only four blocks. So that is what you want for... Let me show you. That is what you want for the entire back of the statue, just as nice as the front. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, you can work your way onto the sides of the statue. And I noticed that the sun is coming down a little bit, so I'm going to cut this here and I will be back once we have pure daylight. Once you've made your way to the side of the statue, either side, it doesn't really matter, they're both identical. Here's what you want to do. And I like to build up the side of the statues like this. I like to work on the left column right here, go straight up, then the right column just going straight up. So, for the left column, here's what you want to do. You want to do 1 red, 3 nether brick, 1, 2, 3, 6 cyan wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and finally 1 brown wool to give you something which should look a little bit like that. Pause that if necessary. Next column, you're going to want to do 4 red wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 cyan, 1, 2, 3, 2 dark blue, 1, 2, single cyan, and finally a brown to top it all off to give you something which should look a little bit like that. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, you can work your way up to the side of the arm. First order of business for the side of the arm is to fill in the under part of the arm with red wool like this. And as a consequence of that, you will have made the first row of the side of the arm. So do make sure you fill in the bottom of the hand entirely. I don't like it when there's holes in the statue, although maybe you do. Do whatever you want, just make sure that you have this first row of red right here. And again, same principle. And as a matter of fact, the arm is actually somewhat identical. So now, instead of going left column straight up, right column straight up, we're going to be building both columns at the same time since they're both the same. So for the first 2 rows, you just want to do 2 rows of red wool, then row of nether brick, then a row of red wool, then 3 rows of white, 1, 2, 3, and then all of the other rows are just entirely cyan wool. And those instructions may look a little strange, but if you look at the side of the arm, you should be able to figure it out anyway. Do you notice something? All you have to do is match the colours. Just match the colours that you have on the sides of the arm and just fill in what's in between and you'll be good. So that is what you want for the side of the arm. Pause that if necessary. Just to finish up this side of the statue, you just want to fill in the top of the shoulder. You only have to come in 3 deep, and all you want to do is throw in cyan wool like so into the top of the shoulder, coming in by 3 rows. Any more would be a waste as the head is going to take care of the rest. So that's what you want. Let me show you the entire side of the statue. That's what you want for the entire side. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that side, you can work your way onto this side of the statue. And this side is going to be extremely easy, and here's why. Just look straight ahead. What do we have? Oh, that's right. We have that side of the statue to copy off. So you just want to copy off of the other side of the statue. Just copy what you have on the other side onto this side and you will be fine. Both sides are identical. There is absolutely no difference between them whatsoever, and as a result of that, there's no point in me calling out instructions when all you have to do is just use your eyes. I hope they're working. And the side of the statue is quite easy anyway. As I said, all you have to do is match up the colours that you have on the left and the right hand side of you, and you will be good to go. Nothing difficult about the sides of the statue whatsoever. And of course, with the top, do remember to fill in the top of the shoulder. So just to show you this side of the statue, if for some reason you found it difficult looking straight ahead, in which case you may have bigger problems, all you have to do is make sure that this side lines up with the other side. So if you have to, literally go over to the other side of your statue, make sure you've done that right. If you have to do that, then so be it, but it is the exact same. So once you are at this point, pause that if necessary, of course. Once you are at this point where you have the entire front, the entire back, and entire sides of the statue done, it's time for us to do the head of the statue. So, first things first, we need a couple of colours by the looks of things. So, what we're going to need. Here's what we need. So, you can throw your red and brown wool away, and what you want to do is grab some sandstone and your light blue wool. And once you've done that, you want to come to the front of your statue and come up to the top of the torso. What you want to do, on top of the 8 blocks of the top of the torso, so these 8 blocks right here, you want to add on a row of 8 sandstone directly on top of them, like so. What you then want to do is 2 more rows of sandstone in front of that row of sandstone that you've just made on top of the torso, so like so. So you want to have 2 rows protruding out in front of the statue, and this row closest to us right here is going to be the first row of Captain America's face. So we're just going to be building up from this from here on until we finish the face, and then we'll do the sides of the head and back of the head, whichever order I decide. Anyway, second row of the face wants to be this. You want to fill in the 4 center blocks in with black wool, like so. Then sandstone everywhere else. Then the next row after that is entirely sandstone. Then the next row after that, 2 sandstone in the center, cyan everywhere else. Next row after that, slightly trickier. We're going to be doing this from left to right. You want to do 1 sandstone, 1 white, 1 black, 2 cyan, 1 black, 1 white, and finally 1 sandstone to give you something which should look a little bit like that. Next row, you're going to want to do 2 cyan in the center, light grey either side of the cyan, and then dark blue everywhere else. Next row, 2 light grey in the center of the row, a single white either side of the light grey, and then cyan everywhere else. And finally, to finish everything off, you're going to want to do 2 white in the center of the next row, and then cyan everywhere else to give you Captain America's face. There you go. Doesn't he look happy? He doesn't look happy whatsoever. He's troubled. He wants to go back to the 40s or the 50s. I can't remember when he was born exactly. I think it's World War II, so we'll say 40s. There you go. That is Captain America's face. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, we can get to work on the rest of the head. So once you have done the face, you're going to want to come to the back of the head, and you want to do this from the original row of sandstone which made up the first row of the head. You're going to want to extend it back with your cyan wool until it overhangs the back of the statue by 2 rows, similar to how the front of the head overhangs the front of the statue by 2 rows. So you're going to want to have something which should look like that. Then, what you want to do, we're only going to temper with the very back of the head ever so slightly. You just want to, on top of the back row of sandstone, the back row of cyan that you have here, you just want to throw an entire row of dark blue on top of it. And that's all you want to do for the back of the head. We're going to be building up the side of the heads and then filling everything else in with cyan wool. So that is all you want for the back of the head of the statue. So coming over to the side, once you are at this point, here's what you want to do, and I'm going to be doing this from left to right, coming from the back of the head to the front of the head, and again I'm just going to be calling out rows. So what you want to do for the second row of the side of the head, and both sides are identical, you want to do this. You want to do 3 dark blue, 1, 2, 3, 1 cyan, 2 sandstone. Next row, you want to do 3 cyan, 2 dark blue, 2 sandstone. Next row, 3 cyan, 2 light blue, here's where the light blue comes back in, and then 2 cyan. Then, for the next row, 3 cyan, 1 light blue, 1 white wool, 2 cyan. Next row, you're going to want to do 5 cyan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 white wool, and finally 1 cyan. Next row, 3 cyan, 3 white, finally 1 cyan. And for the final row of the side of the head, you just want an entire row of cyan wool to give you something which should look a little bit like that. Even the side of the head is detailed. You know you've got a good statue when even the sides have detail. So that's what you want for the side of the head. It's getting a little dark, as you can see, so pause that if necessary. You should be able to see that quite easily. I'm going to be back once it's light again. So I believe we left off here. We had just completed the first side of Captain America's head. Pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, you just want to move over to the other side of the head and just replicate what you have on that side onto this side. So again, just as with the side of the statue, I'm not going to call out colours or anything. All you have to do is quite literally just copy what you have on that side of the statue onto this side, and that should just involve looking straight forward, which is exactly what I'm doing. As a matter of fact, I'm not looking at my plans whatsoever. I'm just peering over a little bit, seeing what I have, and just copying it onto this side. So you should be able to do the same, assuming that you... I apologise. That was my phone. So, assuming... I don't know how that dark blue ended up there. That's a little weird. I suppose the phone put me off. So, assuming that you managed to do one side of the head, you should be perfectly fine doing the second side. So, you're going to want to end up with something that should look a little bit like that. Pause that if you need to catch up. Once you've done that, all you have to do to finish off Captain America's head is fill the rest of it entirely in with cyan wool. So, just once you have done the sides of the head and done your single row of the back of the head, and of course done the face, what you have to do is do exactly what I'm doing now, which is just fill the entire head in with cyan wool. I've already said that, but you know, I need to occupy your ear space. So that is what you want to occupy your ear space. Sounds like something out of an Alien film. Anyway, that is what you want to have for Captain America's head. It's looking pretty nice. It's looking pretty nice indeed. As I said, once you've done the entire face, the entire sides, the entire back, just fill the rest of the space in with cyan wool, and you should be left with something that looks like that. And once you have done that, there is only one more thing that we have to do. Can you guys remember what I said we have to do? We have to do the shield. So, the shield. That needs to come back on TV. It's been off for ages. In the UK at least. I don't know how it's faring in America, but it's took like a 3-month break. It's crazy. I want to see what happens. So, we're missing a few colours. Alright, so I'm going to discard those colours. And I'm going to need red wool, dark blue, white, let's see, I also need cyan, and light grey in no particular order. And this is one of the things where I kind of just do it and then show you. So, as I said, I'm going to be raising up the shield by one row coming out of the back of the statue, just to make it look like an actual shield, since the shield isn't completely flat, of course. And as I said, there's no real explaining I can do. I'm just going to do it and then show you the end result of it, and then you guys can just apply it to your statue if you so choose, which I would if I were you guys, because it does make it look that bit better. Maybe I should make a giant Captain America shield. I've been meaning to make some like weapons and stuff, some like statues. I've got some Adventure Time ones in my head that I think I'm going to do, but we'll have to see how that pans out. But there you go, that is what you want to do for the shield. As you can see, it's looking nice now. It's looking nice and rounded. The back makes a lot more sense once you've brought the shield out by one row. So that's what you want to have. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, you have completed the statue. There is nothing more that you can do. There is nothing more to do. So let me just give you a nice 360-degree view of Captain America. These tutorials just wouldn't be complete without this part for me. So on the original design of this, I say original design as if I created it. On my original draft of this, once I was copying it from the Minecraft skin, I kind of had like the helmet raised out a little bit. It looked a little weird, but I kind of liked it as well. I wish I could manage that. You know how Thor has some like 3D components to his helmet? I kind of wish I could do it with this. I mean, you could do it with the side of the head. You can see where you have the light blue and the white. I should have tried that. That might have looked cool. Anyway, this is my second favourite statue, by the way. I think just the amount of detail that went into Captain America, it's probably the second best. Iron Man might be first, or it's Thor. I can't tell whether Iron Man is the best or just the worst. I can't tell, but anyway, it's a very nice statue. I hope it was easy enough to make. I know it must have been very tedious. It was tedious for me making it in the beginning, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was easy enough to follow. See you in the next tutorial. We've just got Iron Man to make now. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, maybe you should think about subscribing. I have plenty more stuff like this on my channel. I have tutorials ranging from YouTube statues, skin statues, houses, pixel art, the list goes on. Thanks for watching.